Bing, boing, bing. Everybody has a story to tell with Toddy One Skip. Good morning, guys. This is Everybody Has a Story to Tell with Toddy One Skip, and that'd be me. How are you? How you doing? Guys, I had the opportunity to have a real long interview and talk with the one and only Ernie Evans. And not only did he talk about his view and how much he was involved and how much he knows and all of that. He also talked about how important music was to the Whittakers, and that's how and why he reached out to Patrick. So I'd love for you guys to hear this. Please listen to him with an open mind before you make any decisions. But it seems to me this man just came in with good intentions, a good heart. Yes, he's a promoter. Yes, he was also looking for business, but not really at the expense of the Whittakers, but to enhance their life with music as well as promoting himself. That's fair. Okay. I was a writer. I lived, breathed, slept writing. Ernie's a promoter. He lives, breathes, and sleeps that way. Doesn't mean he was in this for the money, just so we understand this. So, guys, just listen to him, give him a chance, and I think you'll find him just as interesting and as fair and as kind as I did. Also, guys, I wanted to put up a video that Ernie had that spoke to him about how much music meant to the Whittakers and how he saw that. So I couldn't use the songs that he had up. So I went ahead and I got a couple copyright free songs. So, but just to show you what he saw that brought him over to Patrick. All right, guys, enjoy the interview. Thank you. Couple months myself, but not near as bad
Yeah,
as what's going on with them Whittakers.
I know, man. I'm telling you, I've my head's still spinning from that whole episode that I was involved in, and it was crazy.
So you want to talk about that a little bit? And
Yeah,
listen, yeah. So how did you come about this mess?
oh man. Well, I'll probably answer a lot of the questions I had listed there answering this question, but anyway, I I came into the Whittaker galaxy through Mark and through Soft White Underbelly, and I don't even know how I stumbled across that, but I just did one day, and I watched it. And I was just really intrigued by it, and like so many people. But to fast forward to what's happened more recently is Mark just had a few things here and there. It was real sporadic, but it got some discussion going on, and I talked to some other people that watched it, and they actually got hooked on Mark's show. But
Right.
it must have been some algorithm or something like that, and it shows up on my feed, and it's Patrick and with the family, and I was like, wow, who's this guy? And I knew that there was another guy that was in there that had some trouble that Mark had some trouble with, and he straightened out. But so I didn't know if it was that guy or another guy, and if this
Right.
was going to be something
You were
that was
talking
good.
about Tyler Oliveira.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 And so I didn't know if it was another one of those situations, but it got on my feed, and I watched it. Then it showed up again. Well, next thing you know, I'm looking for it because they were just real short clips. There wasn't like I didn't have to sit down for an hour, which is very hard to get a spare hour. But I started watching those, and immediately I noticed that there was a huge difference in the morale of the family. And this was back in June of this year.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So when you say there was a huge difference in the morale of the family, do you mean in the morale with Mark and with Patrick? Because you started watching with Patrick before Eric got involved, or when was
No,
that?
no, no. I did hear Patrick say that the other day. It was about it was late June when I first started watching it, and I reached out to Patrick. So, but they were just getting started, so it
So
wasn't
when
really
you
before
first saw,
Eric.
so I just want to be clear because
Yeah,
people want clear, and I get it.
sure,
So
sure.
you watched that, you were introduced to them through Soft White Underbelly, as
Right.
was I, and
Yeah,
you kept up with them more or less. But Mark, that wasn't his only project, as we know. Mark does a lot of other things.
right.
So, and then there was the falling out because of the Tyler Oliveira situation and how Mark felt betrayed by the family, right?
Right.
Okay, and then he does a couple more videos with the family. In fact, he does do. But then, I don't know if you know this, but Mark actually lost his partner.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so the last video that I could find that Mark does with the Whittakers is 9 months ago. So if that's not even a year ago, and then he goes through this horrible loss. Yes.
Yes.
So, I don't blame Mark for not getting involved in a situation that he probably is not even mentally prepared or emotionally prepared to do. So then you start the algorithm comes up there. We know you like the Whittakers, and so now you're watching a little video or a short of what's going on in that.
It was Patrick with the family. He had Betty. He was talking to her, and he was just like really interacting with them. And what I thought was,
and this was on YouTube,
Facebook Live. I guess he was.
So
actually, was pre-recorded Facebook.
So this was before Eric then.
Well, that's what Patrick said. I didn't know who Eric was, so it could be.
Okay.
The exact date was June 29th.
Okay.
That was the exact date, because I'd gone back through our chat to the end of it the other day to see when that was, and it was June 29th was the first time we actually chatted. He called me back and I called him. But the reason I reached out to him because I just noticed that what was real different when Mark was going there, Mark had a big heart and he was very, very good to the family, but it was a pretty somber thing. I mean, you seen them, you felt sorry for them, and they were this. I've heard people use the term. I'm not going to say freak show because that's really not what I have relatives in the same situation.
Right, and I don't think Mark ever treated them like that. I don't think.
No, he didn't, but didn't. But it was more of I'm at a loss for words for.
It was interesting and fascinating.
It was, but there was this. I just felt sorry for them. I mean, I really did. That these poor people go through life like that. They're in a forgotten land because, I mean, my immediate thoughts when I was watching Mark was like, God, if they lived in Harlem or they lived in Chicago, there's millions of programs for people that are mentally challenged, elderly. I mean, there's churches and nonprofit organizations. There's all kinds of things for transportation and meals, and they don't need anything because it's all right there. Education, jobs. I mean, everything is laid out for them.
That Lorraine and Timmy were regulars in a church, from my understanding. They went to a church. So, so the community definitely knew who the Whittakers were. Yes, they knew who the Whittakers were, whether they liked them or they didn't like them or what have you. They definitely knew. And isn't it fair to say, seriously, even before any of this shit happened, isn't it fair to say that if the state wanted to know about the Whittakers, they could have done that? Is that fair to say?
A long time ago.
That's what I'm saying, right? So, I mean, I think that they knew who the Whittakers were, and they knew how they were living, and they weren't bothering anybody, and nobody was bothering them. And I think that they just left them alone. That's the feeling that I got. No, yes. What do you think?
Them and other families.
Yes, because you're absolutely right. They're not the only ones. Not the only one.
Now they're living with this high standard. Well, in their world, a very high standard of living. They have requirements now of things they have to have. But I was watching Soft White Underbelly one time, and there was an address on the thing, and I don't think that Mark knew that was on there. There was a number on there. It's fourth. Well, I won't say it, but anyway, it was their address. Was on this pole in the house, and the camera just kind of leaned into it. So I put Whittaker and that number, West Virginia, or odd West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, it come up.
Well, here's the thing. I got into an argument with another content creator because they just showed up on their front porch with the camera in their face. And, And they said, and it was true because I looked it up after they said it, and I didn't argue that. Just because you know somebody's address doesn't mean you stop by. But
Right.
apparently, the Whittakers had a Google pin. So if you
Oh
ask,
yeah.
I saw it myself because I did it. Where did the Whittakers live? And
Yeah.
and we knew that they lived in Odd, West Virginia. So
Yeah.
it gave it right there. It does
Right.
give the address clearly. Anyway, so you were saying that you reached
So
out.
well, I did the address, but I started, you can start on Google Earth, you can start going down the road through the neighborhood.
Oh, okay, right,
I
okay.
mean, you can just keep clicking on the road and you can, I mean, I wanted to see what the neighborhood looked like.
Right.
They're not
I
the only
never
ones that
did
live
that.
that
I
way.
never did that, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I never did that. Yeah.
You'll find out that they're not the only ones that live that way. And there's quite a few people. But
Sure.
now they've got these standards, and you do
You
do
mean
them
the
all or
standards
none.
now since the family's been split up in order for them to come back?
Yes, and it's
Okay.
part of the path of destruction that happened that shouldn't have happened, and now they're out
Absolutely.
because then we could. That's a whole nother episode. Is not real happy
Absolutely.
about that. So I met Patrick by calling him, because what drew me into it was how the family responded to Patrick versus Mark. Now, in my world, I was like everybody else. I was seeing it on a cell phone or on a computer screen, and I would watch it at night, and I would see those things, and so I didn't see what went on, behind the scenes, and all the drama and the things that went on, and I mean, I knew a little bit about BJ and the characters, but it was like watching Dallas or something. You only knew what was on that episode,
Right,
and
right, right.
so I was real limited to the things that were going on, but it immediately hit me, the morale on how Timmy interacted with Patrick. And he was doing things with him. I mean, he was taking fishing and zip lining and jet skiing. And I mean, all these things were going on. I was like, wow, look at this. And here, I mean, the most Timmy did before was sit in color on the front porch. They would all, I mean, that was their life. They'd sit on that front porch and stare at the floor. And Mark, they were happy. Mark would come over and Ray would come out of the house and everything. But that was the highlight of their year.
In all fairness, I mean, it's clear to say that when people came over, it was Timmy often got overlooked. It was
Yep.
Ray that got a lot of the attention.
Right. You're right.
So
And exactly. And Betty, and it really was, when I seen Timmy was a rock star with Patrick. He just was. Forget about all this other stuff that's going on with the investigation, everything. This is what I saw, what a lot of people saw. And I talked to friends of mine down here and in different parts of the country that had seen that too. They were like, wow, man, he's having a good time. What Patrick did, I guess I have to brag on him a little bit. What he did was he brought something
I
out
just
of
want you to be
family.
honest. I
Yeah.
just want you to be honest and as objective as you can possibly be.
And I know everybody's kind of chosen a side, and they have an opinion of them, but what I seen was, I think, what everybody else was seeing. It was not just the morale. Patrick brought this boost of energy out of the family. You got Betty dancing, they're laughing and joking around, and he was really comfortable in there with them. I was watching one of your episodes where you pointed out that Mark had made a comment about he's going to have to throw his clothes away or something like that after he sat down in a chair.
Yeah.
Patrick, he just sprawled. I mean, he was at home there with them. He's very comfortable.
Yep.
But he started bringing in music, and they would be in the truck. He'd be playing bluegrass music, and Timmy's head's bobbing. Timmy tries to sing one time. I was trying to put that montage together, and I wanted to have. There was so much that Timmy did with that, but music really moved him. But Mark had a whole different vibe, which was good. I mean, believe me, I had a lot of respect, and if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't know what any of it was.
Right.
But it was a whole different vibe. But Patrick started getting a little daredevil with him, and I'm not saying it was really a bad thing. When Johnny Knoxville started doing movies, I was like, God, this guy's crazy. Doing Jackass, and they were doing all these stunts. I'm going, man, these guys are nuts. And at first, I kind of rejected because my kids were like all into it big time. And I noticed one day, it's like, I'm just an old fart. I mean, the world's changed. And if you're going to get young people's attention, there's a way to do it. and,
Right.
we may not approve of it because we weren't raised that way. But young kids are a little more daredevil-y, and they do things. You look at the YouTube channels with the real successful influencers, and I mean, they're doing crazy stuff in grocery stores and getting out of there.
Yeah,
But
I think that here's where I think the problem is now.
mhm,
I mean, it's clear that I've spoken to Patrick, and I think Patrick, I think Patrick honestly cares about the family, and
yeah,
I think he feels horrible about what happened. I feel like he was going to make money from helping them, but I don't
yeah,
have a problem with that. See, I didn't have a problem with Eric making money off of helping them as long as they were being helped. I don't think Patrick deserves a lot of the heat he's gotten here. And I think that people, if give him a little bit of space, because he says he wants to do things, he's let him do his, let him give him a chance, and then beat him up if he doesn't do what he says. You know what I'm
they,
saying? But give him a chance. He's the only one there,
yeah,
and he's
they
like
did some
taking the
good
heat for
stuff.
both. What's that?
Yeah, they did some good stuff together. I mean, the two of them did. Their intentions were good.
I
Um,
don't know about. I can't get on board about Eric's intentions, to
well,
be
now he
honest
had
with you.
other intentions too. I mean, it was, but I
Yeah,
think
I
that
don't
the
know.
vision. Let's put it
Yeah.
this way: the things that he said he was going to do were they sounded good. I have to question some of the things that were never going to happen that he said he was going to
Yeah,
do,
but
like the
also
house thing, and it just
here's the problem when people
yeah.
go in and they decide what's right. Like
Mhm.
Patrick spoke to Betty, and I believe wholeheartedly Betty said what she wanted was a little house on the other side of the road,
Yeah,
looking out on the road. I mean, the thing that
yeah,
Eric did, listen, all they need and all they needed at that time before any of this stuff started was a little double wide with
right,
two bedrooms and 1.5 bath, because it would have been Timmy and Ray in a room and Lorraine and Betty in a room.
right.
But this turned into such an ordeal. And I really think that, well, we see what's happened. Like now, Eric is saying he doesn't want to give the money because of a breach of
Yeah,
the competition clause. But the competition thing would have happened after he left.
I think we can all agree that the money was delinquent, and
Absolutely,
that should have been a
absolutely.
breach of contract, but it probably wasn't in the contract. There
Right,
was probably
right.
no pay
Well, we don't
schedule in
even know.
there.
Yeah, I
I
don't
mean, you
know.
can't like wait for 2 years to not pay someone, and somebody walks in the door and does something.
Yeah,
you screwed
exactly.
up. I mean,
Exactly. Worse than that, like they
yeah,
really needed that money now. Like seriously.
yeah, they need an
And
attorney, and
before there was any investigation, right? Before there was any fraud investigation, he
yeah,
could have given them money. The fraud investigation only happened after he left. There
yeah.
was an investigation from adult protective services, but there wasn't the fraud investigation. So he had a good time to give them the money, and he didn't give them the money.
I told Patrick when we were trying to get. First of all, the family was tore apart. This is when I came in the picture. I mean, all that happened the week I was planning to come. I was supposed to be up there like on the week of the 20th. I was on tour, and I was going to go from Kentucky to Virginia, and I was going to stop in and
And
bring
the
Timmy's
20th
guitar.
of the 20th of which month, Ernie?
September. It was in September.
Okay.
I think it was the 20th. I should look, and I think it was the week of the 20th. But
Okay.
that was like hell week. I mean, there was something happening every single day, and it ain't stopped. I mean, it's like this big ball just starts
Yeah.
rolling down this hill, and it wouldn't stop. Every day something was going on, and I'm like just trying to figure out, we're going to meet in Beckley or we're going to meet in Odd, and all this stuff starts happening, and I mean, it was really really insane how that all happened. But I I don't know. I mean, one of the things that Patrick was telling me about that whole thing was, he was trying to hold it all together. And when I got involved, it wasn't like this. I took Eric's place. A lot of people said that. Well, there's Eric's replacement.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
not.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Eric's
and
still
you
in
know
there.
what? And I interrupted. So
Yeah.
let me not interrupt. Let me keep it shut. So how did you get involved? You reached out to him because you saw some sort of transformation in the family that had to do with music? Is that
Big time. Yeah.
okay?
When he started playing bluegrass music in his truck, the band that he would always play all the time was very good friends of mine. And it happened to be, Patrick's favorite band and everything. And so I called him. I didn't know that he played a banjo or anything. I didn't know anything about him. And I reached out to him on Facebook, and he called me. And my first question was, apparently you're a bluegrass fan, and Timmy seems to respond to it. Well, I'm a bluegrass promoter. I've got 12 festivals, and this is what I do for a living. And I love to do something, for the Whittakers, and maybe just give them like a pass that they can go to any of the shows they want to, anytime they want to. It wasn't about having to have them to boost my sales, and sure, I'd be flattered if they were there. But I had this vision that I knew that he was probably looking for some content and that kind of thing, but it was all in good taste. The first thing he told me was, and at the time he had, they had made money. They had just started doing it. He said, we're really not making money right now, but we're expecting to. He said, if I could just make some money for some groceries, that kind of thing. And this is exactly what he told me. He said, I would be happy if we could do that. I said, man, why don't you bring him, I said, to Jekyll Island? I know you're looking for some moments, that kind of thing. I said, can you imagine? Jekyll Island is this little island right off of Georgia. Are you familiar with that, on the Emerald?
I am familiar with Jekyll Island.
Okay. So I have a bluegrass festival there, and it's a gorgeous indoor convention center. And it's a big bluegrass festival. About 2,000 people come to this thing, and we have the best of the best. And it's about 50 years old. And I wasn't the one who started that festival. I bought a competitor of mine out who had that festival. So I kind of fell into that. And anyway, I told Patrick, I said, can you imagine the looks on their faces seeing the Atlantic Ocean for the first time? He's like, oh, dude, he said, that would be awesome. He said, but how will we get them down there? And he told me this. He said, raise the easiest. This is what he told me. Which
I'm sorry, hang on one second.
Okay.
So he said, raise the easiest to get down there?
That's what he told me. He said, Ray would be the easiest one to get down there. And I was like, okay. I said, well, I've got an idea. I called a buddy of mine up who owns like 13 Prevost buses. I mean, these are star coaches.
Right.
They've got $8. I mean, these are really nice. The country music stars use these coaches. I called him up and I explained the whole thing. I said, look, all we want to do is really make these people's day. I said, I want to see them step off that bus. And I just want to be there to see that. And when they step off that bus and see the Atlantic Ocean. So he was going to go from Nashville to Odd, West Virginia, pick them up in this motor coach. And I mean, I'm talking, this thing is just gorgeous, the one he was going to bring.
Right.
And they would be treated like kings. Bring them down, and they would go, they'd pull in, see the Atlantic Ocean. We would just film them coming off the bus and doing that. And then I had another friend who comes every year, he flies in. And he said he'd fly them. If they would get in the plane, he'd fly them over the ocean in a plane. It'd be their first plane ride too. So we were going to do all this stuff. And these guys would just do it. We're just all friends. And I mean, we were going to rock their world. We just wanted them to have a good time. Now, I know that like Ray probably wouldn't have gotten a plane, and probably wouldn't have been a good idea, but I think Timmy probably would have, and certainly Patrick would have.
Mm-hmm.
But my affiliation with Patrick was, if you wanted to get to the Whittakers, Patrick was the spokesman. He was the representative, and I was fine with that. He liked bluegrass music, and I did too, so we hit it off. But that's how we came to be, as our affiliation, I guess. And
you reached out to him.
Yes.
And and so what about the $5,000? Does that come into play yet, or how does that happen? The $5,000.
That was like that was pretty early on. What happened with that was we were just brainstorming of some things that he could do, to some fundraising and that kind of thing. And so one of the bands that he plays in the truck that he loves to death, and I mean, he was like, do you think we can get them? I said, well, they live closer to you up there than they do to me, because they're in Virginia. And so I called the guy who runs it and said, hey, can you call this guy? He wants to talk to you. So he did. They had a conversation about it. And I didn't find out about it till later, but he had a conversation with him about it. Now this group is a Grammy award-winning group that cost way more than $5,000. So I think everybody has this thing that, if you're going to do something for the Whittakers, it just needs to be free. And I was willing to do whatever I could. I wasn't going to charge them for promoting. I mean, I don't need to do that. I could do that from home.
Were they going to be able to get on the bus and the planes for free?
Oh no, that was different. That would have all been free. Yeah.
Okay.
But that was just going to a festival.
Right.
The $5,000 was a different deal. That was
right.
That was to do something in Odd, West Virginia, to do something in the hometown that he wanted to do a meet and greet type thing and raise the money for the family. And it was just a brainstorming thing. He talked to Eric. Eric shot it down, and there was never any more discussion about it. But the 5,000 came from that band saying that's what they'd have to make that happen. And that's all that was. Now, that isn't how it came out. I mean,
listen,
I get the video. Yeah, he was on a rant. I mean, that day, I'll bet Eric went live 3 times, and I will bet you the shortest one was probably an hour and 50 minutes, and the longest one was probably over 3 hours. He just kept going on and on, and this and that, and Patrick did this, and Patrick did that, and I was like, when he mentioned the $5,000, I was going, I know what that was about, but he didn't say me. He had a bunch of people out there. They're putting 2 and 2. Oh, he's a bluegrass pro. Oh, that's, Ernie's got it. It's like, wait a minute.
Right.
It never got spent. It was just an idea that Patrick had, and it was a good idea. And they should have took him up on it, because this group would have brought so many people into.
That's not what it was about. That's not what it was about for Eric. Eric doesn't want people. He only wanted. Obviously, it was non-competition clause, right? Somewhere. So he didn't want people taking photos or shit like that. He didn't want a meeting or a greet that he didn't have control over, Yeah,
you see the video of Timmy in front of a band and how he just.
I do, yeah.
Nuts. He loved it. I mean, he just certainly had a good time. But I got blamed for a lot of stuff. So that was one on there. But that one, that rumor, I didn't go on tour. And one of the reasons I didn't go on tour when I was supposed to stop in there was because of that. That actually got to somebody in Missouri that called one of the band members in my band and called in South Carolina and said, "Why are you guys charging $5,000 to go play for the Whittakers?" He's like, "What? What are you talking about?" And he had no clue. And the guy was a preacher telling him.
Wow.
And he says, "Yeah, well, that Ernie guy's charging him." I'm like, and so he called me. I said, "No, man, he's got that all wrong." He said he's all upset about it and everything. And they were concerned because, the thing with Charlie Kirk had just happened, and there were some pretty nasty threats going on with me, especially Patrick. Oh my God, they were saying some pretty scary things about him, and I had him coming after me too.
Right.
What can I do?
No, I had somebody do it to me too.
Did you?
Join the club. Do it to me too. It's like crazy. People they feel like they could get behind the screen of a computer and just feel like they behind the VPN things that can't be found. My ass. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you something. It's taken very serious now. There is a protocol at the sheriff's departments.
Yep.
That I
know.
learned because
been there. Yep.
There was one guy that said that it's time for me to go get some ammo. He said this in a chat room on I won't mention the content creator, but it was in that program.
Mm-hmm.
And because I came in there, and he said it's time for me to go get some ammo, and I faced him head on. I said, you better explain that.
Right.
Because I'm taking this personal, and you better explain it.
Right. I know. So, let me.
I looked him up on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I called the sheriff in his county, and the sheriff says all you need to do is call your sheriff.
That's right.
They'll contact me, and we'll go knock on the door. I said
that's okay. Right.
And that's what I did. And they knocked on his door.
There you go. Absolutely.
And I didn't hear no more from him.
I do have a question to ask you though about a content creator. You don't have to. So. Did you send the footage of Timmy? Did you ever send the footage of Timmy to anybody from the footage that would have been? It was claimed to have been the abuse video footage.
Let me tell you about that. So that came to me after I'd walked away and I was all done. I'm like, oh, great. What am I going to do with this? It's like, I don't want to be involved anymore. And I'm looking at this thing going, I don't really see the abuse in here. And I really don't. So the day before that, there was a guy in the Watson family podcast
Yep.
or whatever.
Mm.
He had did his podcast about me.
I
And
know.
and he listed about 6 things and he was wrong on all 6.
Yeah, he's done shit
All
about me
6.
and other content creators. Yep.
Yep. So I called him and he didn't answer. So I wrote to him. I said, look, there's 6 things you talked about. You got all 6 wrong. Here's this. I mean, I had to go get clips that I took from the one live I did for Patrick. And I said, so he calls me back and he apologized. He said, you're right. I'm going to correct it. And I'm going to go up and do that. I said, well, look, man, I'm an open book. Just call me if you've got any questions. But man, I got a call that night with somebody saying, oh, this guy's like, he's throwing you under the bus and everything. And so the next day I got a call saying, hey, this guy's saying that you said Timmy's being abused and everything. I'm like, what? We had a conversation about this. I said, I'm trying to walk away from that. And I told him, I said, now I'm out defending myself every night. I'm trying to walk away from this thing. I said, I've got this video. And I don't know what to do with it. I said, I don't want to do nothing with it because if Timmy is being abused, then it needs to stop. I said, but that's not what's on there. He says, well, can I see it? And I said, I really don't want this thing out anywhere. I said, I really don't want it out. I said, but if you want to call the administrator, if you think that's what's going on, but I can't do it. I don't want to be involved with this thing. Mm-hmm. He says, I'll do it. I'll call the administrator. So I said, okay. I sent it to him. Got a email, or no, some messages from some people, started telling me right away. Now, when the shit hit the fan and people were all, picking sides, I'm on team this and team that, and they were slinging mud at everybody, I was like, I mean, there was people that were angry with me, but there was a lot more that were supportive. They just weren't the loud ones. They weren't on there fighting. They were writing me privately.
It's always the loudest voices. Yep.
Yeah. They were writing me privately, so they were watching for me, and a lot of them have defended me. And I want to say that there are some wonderful, wonderful people out there, and I've met some really, really good people out there, and that's been a blessing in this whole thing. And so that they were giving me heads up that kind of stuff was happening. So I get this thing saying that this guy is on there saying that he got a video of Timmy being abused from you. I'm like, what? So I'm trying to call the guy. I'm trying to call, and I'm trying to write to this guy. What the hell are you doing? And so I go over to his YouTube channel, and this guy's flipped out. I don't know what's going on with him. I mean, he's just like, that wasn't the same guy I talked to earlier that day. It was not the same guy. I mean, he was like, that was a totally different guy. Well, he wrote back to me the next day, said he had taken too much Vicodin, and there was something else going on. He took some, and he apologized, and I accepted his apology. And I don't know what, I know I caught a bunch of hell for that too. But it's like, God, I never said that. I told him, this does not look like abuse. I don't think it's abuse.
Do you know that it's not? Did you see the video that I put out about it?
I don't know if I did or not. No.
It's not even in a facility. It's in a.
Looks like a motel or something.
It's in a motel, where you get your own coffee in the morning.
Yeah, he said what the guy said that was doing the podcast, that he said that he was going to call he promised to call the administrator and have a talk with him, and that's what he was going to do. But he said the people in my chat room put pressure on me, saying, no, you got to do it now. You got to call the sheriff, right? Or you got to call the cops right now. And he says, and I caved. And I was like, I said, do you realize what kind of avalanche you just caused, man? Are you kidding me? And but he goes, man,
definitely blamed you, man. And here's the thing: I watched that video, and it was somebody in the chat that said, that's not even a current video. Look at how long Timmy's hair is. And I was like, whoa, Like
Yeah.
that's 1000% correct. And
Yeah.
then somebody looked it up. There's so many sleuths. They looked it up and they found that microtel.
Oh,
And
really?
and that was it. Yeah, that's how I
Oh
got
my
it.
God.
Somebody sent me that, and then we knew which condo they were in, and please, people are all over that. It's crazy. It's
Yeah, and
crazy.
they thought that I did it, but I just was like, I mean, I didn't know where it was at, you know, and
You just
there was
got
there was no
something that
sound.
somebody. Yep, you just got something. That's all you got, and you
Yeah,
didn't know what to
there
do
was no
with it.
sound on it. So now, if I heard some cussing going on and someone screaming or in pain, that's a
First of
different
all,
story.
no,
But
you're right. There was no ABUSE at all. There was nothing like that. There was
yeah,
nothing.
I thought there was, you know, I thought it would cause more trouble than anything. But at the same point, I was like, somebody needs to take this to the administrator. Somebody needs to talk to him about it, because if something's going on, that's who needs to know.
Right.
And he just, now I do feel sorry for the guy. The guy's got problems. He really does. He canceled his YouTube channel and all this stuff, and I accepted his
He's been
apology.
on attack.
I've talked to him again.
Ernie,
You
I'm
know,
going to
since
stop you there when it comes to Mr. Watson, because he gets on attack with other content creators, and this is a pattern of his. He apologizes and then he does the same thing. He just had a content creator help him with something, only to turn around and bash the content creator. This is his behavior. So I just wanted to know if you sent the man the video. That's fine that you did. That's fine.
yeah,
And that's what happened. So anyway, so continue on and with you know how it all played out to you, because I mean that was basically your part in the whole ordeal. Was you originally reached out and wanted to offer all this, so what
well,
came, so that wasn't going to be like, what made that not happen? Because that would have been a great thing. Jekyll Island in a
yeah,
bus.
yeah. Well, and that was on. Well, it'll be this coming New Year, so that's it's not going to happen, and that's what it would have been. In the meantime, the guitar thing came up. In the meantime, because I just watched Timmy interacting with music, and it's like, man, I mean, music is magic to me, and
It's magic to everybody. I think it is the universal language throughout. And it's I was having a conversation with somebody actually, and it was not, it's supposed to go on another one of my channels, but we didn't argue at all, and the name of the channel is called The Argument, and we're trying to find an argument with music, and we couldn't, because we both agreed it's like it's a time machine. It takes you back, like a smell or a taste that takes you back to a time in your life. It's wonderful, and how everybody reacts to music in a different way. So it is universal, regardless of the language in which you speak or anything. It's an expression, isn't it?
Yeah. If you want to connect with Ray Whittaker, try music. I mean, it will connect with him. You can talk to him. You can do all kinds. Oh, no wonder my phone was dying. I had the wrong cord in here. Hold on one second. Let me plug this in.
Okay.
There we go. Okay, now it's charging it. Okay. But everybody connects at music. They just do. You don't have to love the same genre or whatever. You could be into it, but if it's got a cool groove and
well, you were just talking about
good.
Ray. You were just talking about Ray connecting
Yeah.
to it and how he connects to music.
Man, that video of him when she starts playing music on the phone to him, and he starts hearing that, it was an oldie but a goodie type song, and he starts tapping his heart, and he got this reaction right away as soon as he heard the music, and I mean it got at his bones, and then to see him up dancing, and you know, they could get him to do a jig and
smiling.
He was the happiest guy in the world. I mean, it was a great way to connect with him, and obviously to me, but Betty too. I mean, you don't see that smiling and dancing
in the front seat of the car. Yep.
Yeah, and Patrick brought that out of them like that. And you know, there's one other thing I haven't really talked about with the Whittakers. I think that is a big positive, and maybe this is too deep thought, but you know, I think there's an educational part of this whole thing. There's no reason that children have to go a whole lifetime and not know that exists, and how fortunate they are. And I'm talking about not just the mentally challenged thing, but the people living at the poverty level.
Yeah.
And there's this myth that white people don't live in poverty. You know, I mean, that's what you see and down here and in the big, you go to Orlando and they just don't think that's what happens, or there's something wrong with them. And, you know, I think that there's a lot of things we take for granted that that those folks may never see in their lifetime. And those were the things that they were starting to get now. And because if you could give them money all day long, Mark did, there's nothing to show for it.
Right.
But when you look at those video clips of them smiling and dancing, that's
Right.
priceless, man.
Yeah, the memories are something. Memories.
It is. And that moment they had, being able to do that, they weren't smiling and dancing when they got a $50,000 check or whatever. I mean, they might have been happy for a little while, but they're gone like that, and they're back to the same old thing. But that moment that they're smiling and dancing and having a good time, and I mean, and it's something music can be done at any time, you know. And so there's that too. But the educational thing, I think, to make the rest of the world aware of what's still going on in the state. I mean, can you imagine that, you know, this problem with incest is probably way, I mean, it's tamped down. It has to be way more, you know, they're in their 70s. So, you know, you're talking 70 years ago that was going on. And I know there's probably still things going on, but at that level, you know, I hope it's tamped down. But it's part of our culture, you know. I mean, it is, it's not just in the Appalachian region, but it's probably more prevalent out there. But I think that there's an educational thing there. People are afraid to look at it. They're afraid to address it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you see them out having a good time, what does that do, man? That humanizes them. And that makes you look at someone like Timmy totally different. And at Ray, you know, dancing, doing a jig. I mean, it's adorable. I mean, it's adorable. And when you see someone like that sitting on a porch, just looking down and, you know, watching cars go by, that's one thing. But if they're dancing in a truck and having a good time and listening to music or at a concert somewhere where Timmy's up on the stage doing that, you know.
Now that you mention it, so, you know, they had radios. I mean, they have that television set, so but I don't remember them ever really listening to music like that, you know, because they could have sat on the porch with the radio.
They had access, and you know, Patrick put them in front of it, and he turned the radio up. It got in their bones immediately, and that's what he did. Now, I'm not saying Patrick's an angel, and I'm not perfect either. Mm-hmm. We all have our good points and bad points, but I'm going to tell you that was a good point, and it led a lot of people there. You know, it's kind of crazy because I thought.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
And you kind of hit on this. I just want this because, so Sonny, I don't know if you know what's going on with this woman, Sonny, who came and she recorded Patrick, and she took an inventory of what was in, and she said that he said, her and me, but, you know, like they were going to make money together. Did Patrick ever bring anything up to you about like making money with him or anything with the Whittakers or anything like that?
No, I brought it up to him, but not about the Whittakers. It was like, okay, I'm in the entertainment business, and I'm working every single day trying to get things to go viral and get algorithms going, you know, for my business all the time. Here's this guy's got this page, and he's got like 283,000 followers now, and he's learned a lot about it. And I'm like, God, Patrick, look, you know, what you got is what's called a customer base. Now, this is before anything went wrong. I mean, at this point, I just thought everybody loved the Whittakers. They love Patrick, and he's got this machine. And I was like, you know, do you realize that you can open a shoe store up and you can use this base and just do your own thing? And I mean, you could open any business up that you wanted to. He goes, well, I don't know how to do that. I said, well, I do. I said, what I don't know how to do is what you did and going viral. I mean, I'm working on that every single day. He goes, well, I'll teach you how to do that. And he said, you teach me how to do business. Well, we never got to, but we talked about that kind of thing. And, but as far as offering me money, he never did. And I never asked for any, but the reason I don't think people really understand this. Eric wasn't out of the picture. He said he was moving on, and that he was out of here and he was through, washed his hands, but the business was still going. He was still making money.
Yeah, and the videos were still monetized. I'm sorry.
Every time somebody watched the video, it was generating money. Every time somebody responded to a live,
Right.
when he went out, when he got angry, and he was telling everybody that, man, I'm through with this, and I can't believe they did this. He was making money the whole time. Now,
Yep.
technically, the Whittakers were, and Patrick was, and he had a lot of people listening in. I mean, there was one time I seen like 13,000 people on at one time, and they're all commenting and everything, and they're hating on Betty, and I mean, it was going pretty, it was pretty bad, hating on BJ and everything, but that was generating money. So people had this perception that I came in and took his place. It's like, no, there wasn't an opening there, and I wasn't interested in that at all. I listen. I'm almost 65 years old. I'm months away from being there. I want to slow down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to. I don't want to live up there, for one thing. I love it in Florida. I want to stay here. I don't need another job. I'm so busy doing with what I do, but I love music. I love people who love music, and anytime I could use it for something positive, I will. And that was my idea. But there wasn't like this job opening because Eric vacated it. He didn't. He controlled 5 of the 6 platforms. He controlled that. And I do want to make one myth go away too. I'm gonna lose my thought, but it's about the 5 versus 1. I've got the answer for that a lot of people seem to be getting wrong out there. But it was like, a lot of people turned on me for that. They just assumed that I was there, and I've heard other things about I'm Patrick's, and all that stuff. And when I came in there, that ship the Titanic was sinking when I was on the phone with him saying, "Hey, are we going to meet in Beckley, or are we going to meet in Odd?" When I bring this guitar by, that boat was going down. And by the time I did that live stream thing for Patrick, that ship was on the bottom of the ocean. So
Right.
there wasn't, it was going down quick, but there was never money available for me, and I didn't want it and didn't care about that. It wasn't why I was there. I mean, I wasn't even there. I
I'm
was at
asking,
home.
did Patrick ever ask you for money for the Whittakers or anything? Did he ever?
Yeah.
Did he ever seem like it was about money for him?
No, that's what shocked me was I thought everybody liked Patrick. I thought the world loved him. This is what I thought. They call me naive or whatever, but I watched Patrick. I've never met Patrick in person. Never have. I've never been to Odd, never been to Beckley.
Right.
The whole time I was involved, even talking to the family was on conference calls with the family. And I'll get to that in a minute. But it was he was happy because he was on course to really do something special. We had conversations about that. We talked about I didn't know anything about his record, didn't need to, that never came up, that I didn't ask. There was no I wasn't in business with him or anything, so it didn't really matter. And he showed compassion and love for the family and fun and all that stuff. So I was cool with what I knew, which wasn't a lot, but I was cool with that. But he was just happy-go-lucky. Like he loved bluegrass music. I mean, he was happy to meet me because we could talk about that. We connected at that.
Right.
Timmy was with him a lot. He was, I know the first time that we talked, Timmy was there at the house, and Patrick says, "Can I FaceTime you?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." Timmy was right there next to him. He goes, "Hey, Timmy, this is Ernie." And he introduced me to him. It was the first time I'd met. I didn't expect that, but that was awesome. And so he loved what he did. I think I understand it more now. I think Patrick had a troubled past, and he was trying to do better. Now, people can believe me or not believe me. This is what I saw.
Right.
I think Patrick was trying to make up for lost time in his life, and he had finally got something that he could do. He was very gifted. He has that Jeff Foxworthy thing where all the stuff with that Southern draw, it's funny. He responded well. He interacted with the family well, and it was proven effective because of the viewers they had. I mean, he had it going on, but I think he felt good about that. He was helping the family. It's like, man, I could just hang out with these people, have a good time, and make a great living and make more money I've ever made, because it was coming. He wasn't making it. When I met him, he probably hadn't got his first check yet, and it was just kind of taking off, and Eric was coming in the picture.
Right.
So he never, money was just never anything we talked about. I do know that when he did his first update on the family after the family left, I was watching it, and I'm watching all these mad faces and everybody just, I mean, they're going
Yeah.
on. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I didn't understand it. And I'm like, what's going on? And then it turned into the next day, he gets online, and I'm talking thousands of people getting on there. Patrick's reading it, and it's completely changed. Here's this guy's having fun, dancing with the family, doing this thing, and he's staring at the screen, and then, F you. You don't know what the hell you're talking about, blah, blah, blah. And then he would stop. You bullshit. You don't know. It's like, what the hell happened to this guy? What's going on? So these people are all coming after him, and he's reading these comments, and he spent an hour cussing people out. I called him up. I said, Patrick, when he was done, I said, you can't do that, man. You got to stay humble. And you're just going to have to ignore that stuff. They want to know what's going on with the family. The people want to know what's going on. And you couldn't even give an update because these people were getting under your skin. He goes, well, I can't stand it. I'm getting accused for this. And they don't know what the hell they're talking about. I said, I know they don't. They have no clue. But these people are mad because they had this candy that was the Whittaker tapes. I mean, you're doing all this fun stuff. You guys got these great things.
I think that
attached, and then
I
it's
think
gone.
Ernie is that no, man. I think that people are honestly heartbroken that this family was ripped apart the way that it was ripped apart, and that they lost everything, and they got nothing, and they got nothing.
I agree, but there was this wave of hate that came in, that come out of nowhere. I mean, and I know, I understand it now
because simply because Eric left. So where was it going to go? It had to go. It funneled all towards Patrick because Eric
Patrick and Betty. They were hating Betty. They were hating Larry. They were hating BJ, and they were hating Patrick. And I don't remember anybody ever hating Betty. I mean, I'd been 5 years that they've been out on the scene, and whatever it's been, I'm going to say probably 4 or 5 years that I know I was watching. Everybody loved Betty. And then all of a sudden, I'm planning a trip up there, and everybody hates Betty all of a sudden. They hate Patrick. I'm going, what in the hell is going on here? And all the people that was now, BJ, everybody's had they've had their issues with her in the past, but nobody was like passionately wanting to strangle her. I mean, but that was going on. I mean, everybody was like, I mean, and I'm saying everybody. But
right. No, I know. Yeah.
You get 10,000 people. If 1,000 is angry and wants to do harm, it's like 15,000 on there because they're the loudest ones and they're mean.
I agree. I agree 1,000,000%.
And they got under Patrick's skin. So and Patrick told me he goes, I got to go on tomorrow because there's stuff going on and I want to talk to him about it, but I can't do it because I can't take this. These people, and this was late at night. And we're talking. I said, you know what? They don't even know who I am. Let me do it. I'll just tell them. I said, Patrick, you can't get on there and let these people get on your skin because they come after him hard, man.
And a lot of them do it just to troll. A lot of them
did, but he wasn't used to that. I mean,
I know. I know. I've spoken to him. I've spoken to him. I've told him not to look at. I said, man, don't look yourself up. You don't need to know. I don't look myself up. I don't.
It's like a dream come true for him, and then all of a sudden it's a nightmare. It's like Freddy Krueger come in the room, and it was like, what the hell? And he changed. I mean, he changed because he was depressed now.
Defensive, totally defensive.
Oh, like, well, people were driving by his house, and so, I mean, he was like really.
He's guilty by public opinion has him guilty, unfortunately. Yes.
Oh my God, and they come after him hard, and again, I missed that whole thing when that was happening because I was planning this trip. But I noticed it on the lives, but I couldn't read what everybody was saying, and I didn't understand what they were doing there. But I do know now that because of the whole Eric and BJ thing, that they turned on Betty, and all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, this thing's gone way too far. So I figured, well, nobody knows who I am. I'll come on there, I'll give the family update, and I said, but we've got to address these people's concerns, and this was the night before, and he says, well, what are we going to do? He goes, there's 10,000 of them. I said, let me read some of these. So I'm reading. I read about 300 of them, and it come down to 5 things. There was 5 things. BJ was one. They wanted to know about the money. Some people still wanted to know where to donate to. And I can't remember what the other ones were, but I addressed them all. And so, out of 300, there was some other stuff, but there was just personal stuff, just. So anyway, I said, okay, I'm going to address these. And he approved everything. I said, but we're going to tell them, stop sending money. This done. It's over. Until you can find a way that they can trust that their money's going to go to the family. Right now, it's just hearsay. We don't know what's going on, who's got it. And I said, but we've got to get on there. We've got to tell these people, stop sending money. This is over. Stop it. No more. And he said, okay. He didn't have a problem in the world with that. He says, okay. I said, all right, good. He said, what are we going to do? I said, I don't know. I said, this trust thing, is it ever going to happen? I mean, and if it does, I said, how long is that going to last? Because BJ's going to be an heir and a sign. If you guys are concerned about that, then it's going to be hers. You build her a house, she's going to have ownership in it. It's going to happen. So it's not going to be forever. So I think you need to find a way to work her in the picture. I said, I don't want to touch that right now, and BJ was one of the biggest concerns. That was out of the 300 people.
Yeah, there's a little controversy there, if I'm honest with you, where Patrick contradicts himself. He says in one video, and people have sent it to me, that Patrick says that BJ was physical with them, but then asked in a live stream with me, he said that no, she wasn't. So I don't know about that.
He had never mentioned anything like that before, but I can tell you that before Patrick broke his leg, none of that shit would have went on in front of him. And if he'd have known about it, he'd have addressed it. It would not have taken a restraining order. In fact, he wouldn't even have wasted his time with that. He'd have handled that. I mean, he's one of them. He's from the hills. He's not bashful, but he would protect Timmy and Ray and Betty, Larry, whatever. He would protect BJ. I mean, that's just how he is. And he wouldn't have thought twice about it. That's what I know of Patrick. But when I went on,
I think that I just watched the video somebody sent me. I think when you're watching that video, you see Timmy he speaks in a language that you don't understand. And you can manipulate it in any which way you want.
Right.
And there's a video that I do want to put up that has Eric and Timmy together. And Eric is saying that Timmy's afraid of BJ. You don't really know what, you know what I'm saying? It's so, and at one point he's crying. You don't know if he's crying because he's with him for the first time and he misses his mom. You just don't know shit.
Right.
And because Eric says it, that's where people automatically go. They go to that. Well, do you understand? I don't understand Timmy language. You know what I mean? Like, I think Patrick did, if I'm honest with you.
He did.
I think he did. And you could see it.
Yeah, he said that Timmy has about 3 different words for one word with the way he expresses it. He said, but you get to know his body language and how he says things.
Right.
And when he's upset about things, he said, but he doesn't always say it the same way every time. But his body language and everything and the way he delivers it is the same. And so he was able to decipher some of that, I guess. But
so when you were gonna come, or you were gonna meet in Jekyll, or Beckley or Odd, was that for the guitar?
Yeah, because the guitar is, it has to come with a couple lessons. First of all, Timmy wouldn't even know how to put it away in the case. If you wrap that strap up your guitar player and leave the capo on and force that lid closed, you're gonna do some damage.
Yeah. You can bust it.
Yeah, and then there's also tuning. There's electronic tuner. Now Timmy can learn this stuff very easily. You watch him when he's checking out at the grocery store. He's like concentrating. He knows he can be taught, and he'll remember.
And he wants to. That's the main thing. That's what I noticed about him. He wants to shine. You saw that. And
Oh,
and and I
he's been
do
built up
feel
over
like
all those years. I mean, he
I,
wants to.
I do feel like he was in Ray's shadow for a long time. A
Yeah,
lot of people just, and Timmy, yeah, definitely, definitely. I think that absolutely, I agree with you there. So I'm
my
sorry.
my
So go
opinion,
ahead.
my opinion about him is, and this is about Timmy specifically. He's so high functional. That's one of the reasons I think he was occupied. He was coloring, and yeah, he may not think like a 46-year-old or 46-year-old, but he can comprehend. I mean, he knows what you're saying. I mean, you may not know what he's saying, but he knows what you're saying, and he can respond. And he does have the traits of a younger child, but he doesn't belong where he's at right now. He just
Yeah.
don't. Yeah, he's sleeping in a cleaner place and doing that kind of thing. But if you ask Timmy where he want to be right now, he probably want to be out fishing and doing something fun. And
Well,
if
if
he's not
anything,
able
I
to
think
do
he'd
that,
still want to be on the porch with the rest of his family and none of this
right,
shit going on.
right, yeah, and he had a good life there at the end. If you look at him too, Patrick. He had a shave in his head, and he had a mustache and sideburns. I'm known nationally for being a promoter,
Mm.
and I've had festivals all over the southeast, but I'm also a performer, and I tour with some country bands, with some notable country bands too. Periodically, I'm slowing down with that stuff, but I started getting calls from all over the country, and people in Canada calling me. I got a letter from some lady in England, and it's like they want to know what's going on. So I was like, dang. And some of the things that were being said, like the biggest one was, if you go back and hear what I said about a piece of pie, I was on there talking, and this guy's going, yeah, you just want a piece of the pie. That's
Right,
all you're
right,
looking for. And I'm going, what pie? What piece
right.
of, what are you talking about? What pie? And I'm thinking, okay, so I'm talking to this guy that's in the chat room that's in the thread. And the thread's going, because there's thousands of people. It's like, I was probably the only one that said it, but I let that get the best of me, but I never said anything. And all of a sudden it's, oh, he just wants a piece. Remember that, what you said? And I'm thinking, so I had to go get that clip, and I
Right.
put it up there, and I've had to send that to people. Say, look at this. People telling me that I'm scamming. So I got to go get the don't send money clip. So I've got these little clips. So I would go into these things, and of course they wouldn't watch them, but
Yeah,
I had
because
to,
that's
had to
what
defend
people,
myself,
a troll is a troll is a troll.
Yeah, but they were twisting everything around that I was saying. And
Yeah.
but then somebody would read it that didn't see the live stream or anything, and then they would go say it another way, and pretty soon it was like, oh my god, it was so out of control. But again, I'll refer back to some of the like awesome people, and I would say their names, and I want to say their names so bad, but I don't want to put drama in their life.
Right. Of
It
course
could
not. Of
happen.
course not.
It's way better than it was. I mean, I'm not getting the trolls got bored with me because I played with them, and
Right.
I went along with them on it, and I didn't let them off the hook, and some got tired.
Right.
And so it's way better than it was. But some people were correcting people and saying that's not what he said, and so
Right. Right.
I got a
Right.
lot of help there with that too.
Yeah.
So, but it's
Yeah.
it's tamped down. But with we're talking about Timmy, and the guitar and everything. He could be playing this thing. He's not going to go on tour with it, but you talk about the magic of music, how it makes people feel. When
That's
you
right.
play a guitar for the first time and you play a song, everybody's envious. And it may just be a little 3-chord little thing that you just learned. And people that don't play guitar are really envious. I mean, that's why I started playing. My uncle played a banjo, and another uncle played a guitar, and they were just learning how to play it. And God, I thought they were the greatest thing in the world. And I'm like, give me that. I can do that too. And so I think that for Timmy to use one finger, and it's color coded too, so he knows
Right.
what blue, green, and red is,
Yep.
and just push that one button. And when he would hear that chord, and he could actually play a song, and a lot of bluegrass is just 3 chords.
Right.
So
Right.
I know, I've watched
A
his
lot of
right
songs are
hand.
just 4, as you know. I mean, like,
Yeah.
come on. If
And so
if
he
you're
could actually make
fortunate, you'll
music.
get 8 in there, but usually 4 to 6. Like, really, if it's that's what it is.
Yeah.
Every song
So
I
he
ever
could do
wrote
it.
was on 4 to 6 chords. That's it. I had 4 to 6 chords. That's it.
Yeah. he could do it, but I have to go there to show him how to do it. Now I do have a little kind of an update. I talked to a lady, I think her name was, I'm pretty sure that's what her name was. She obviously won't let me do it just yet. And I don't know if it's going to happen. She says you can ship it. I said, well, he's not going to know what to do with it. I could ship it, but I also want to make sure that he gets it. And I said it has to come with some lessons. And she says, well, maybe we could show him. I said, well, if I have to do it that way, maybe I can FaceTime you and show you what you have to teach him. But it really needs to come from somebody that can teach.
Familiar,
just someone's going to get a crash course and then go give a crash course. And because he really needs a seasoned guitar player to play it for him too, so he can hear what's possible on there.
Exactly, I agree. So that he knows what the capabilities of it is. Yeah, exactly.
So I reached out to two very, very accomplished touring artists that live within 45 minutes from there, and they're happy to go over there and do that with him. I want to give it just a little bit more time to see, because I would really like to be the one, but I don't have to be the one.
Right.
And he does need to have it. And I want him to have it. I was going to send it back, or I was actually going to take it to Road Heaver Boys Ranch and just give it to them. But Timmy really needs to wind up with this. If I never get to beat him, he still needs to have that. I think it's going to bring him some happiness.
I agree.
Even if it's
that was me that was screaming, Ernie, it's more important that he gets it.
I just seen that recently.
And that you give it to him.
Yeah. Somebody sent me that clip of you saying that. And when somebody would send me a clip of somebody, a concept creator, I'm cringing, because when I hear my name, I go, okay, what's coming next? But I was really at ease, because it was the right message. And I heard that from other people. That's why I decided, you know what, he's got to have this thing. I've just got to go through with that. But that was what was going to bring me up there. I never made the trip. There was too many threats, too many things going on there. And so I stayed home, never left. So I never got my trip to the wonderful world of Odd, but maybe someday I'll go up there when things settle down. And
absolutely, it's supposed to be beautiful there. But I want to ask you something, because you said that you had spoken to the family and that you would get back. You would get to that. So I want to bring you back to that, if you would, please.
Yeah. So when everything was kind of falling apart, there was all this fighting going on online, but nobody was doing anything about it. All these people, and not everybody, but there was a group of people that hated Patrick, and they were coming after him with both guns blazing. And there was Team Eric and Team Patrick, and I'm going, oh my God,
that certainly is what it turned into.
It's like who's helping the family? It's like this WWF thing's going on.
We needed a Team Whittaker there. A Team Whittaker was what it was supposed to be about.
And there wasn't at the time. It was Patrick.
Right.
He was trying to, and he's got a broken leg, and so he said, he needed help. And so we started talking about, reuniting the family. What's wrong with the house? There was a lot of things going on at once. Well,
so this was after the family got split up that you spoke with the family?
Yes.
Okay.
It was after. Yeah.
Okay.
And so they were in a hell of a predicament. I mean, Betty couldn't stay at the house. There was rumor that it was condemned and it wasn't condemned, but it was maybe not certified condemned, but they couldn't live there.
Okay.
You can rehab a condemned home. I mean, by definition of condemned, if you talk to a county commissioner, they're going to say that a house has to be repaired, and if it goes beyond the cost of what the house is worth, then it's totally condemned. But a house can be condemned and rehab back to not condemned, or whatever they want to call it, to functional.
Well, there's confusion here now. Let me ask you, because, and I'm not trying to stir shit. I just know. So Patrick at some point said the house is not condemned.
That's what they're saying. I don't know what if they got something in writing. Usually they'll put a sticker on the house that shows, that nobody's
supposed to enter. Exactly.
But there's also, there could have been somebody from the county saying that house is condemned, but maybe not officially, because it was the Whittakers, to give them some time to either fix it up or get out of there. Obviously the house is probably paid for, and I don't know who owns the land, if they're paying rent or whatever, but what the chance was, but there was so much confusion. I looked at the above ground. This is how deep we
Septic,
got into this.
the above ground septic.
Yeah, and there's you still have to go underground to do some things for, I don't know if it's a drain field or what all has to happen there, but if it's in a flood zone, it's going to get in the aquifer or get into the water anyway. So that does make sense. However, in the state of West Virginia, I talked to some people from the state, not about what the state regulations are, because in bluegrass, a lot of people live in their RVs, and there's some places that you could dump gray water on the ground, and some places they consider it black water. In certain states, Florida and California consider it black water. So the problem with the sewage there was you couldn't put black water in the ground, but in West Virginia you could dump gray water. So I said, okay, if you could dump that. So here's a couple options. Do the above ground septic. Okay, that didn't transpire. They make these big holding tanks, and they're giant holding tanks.
Yeah, they have them in Hawaii.
Right. So it doesn't, there's no filtration, there's no leach field.
It's just like a fucking pool.
That's like what it is.
Yep.
And so that fills up, pump truck comes and pumps it out.
Exactly.
You pump it out once a week, and that's what you do. Gray water on the ground, because but you have to use biodegradable soaps. That's the only condition. So whether that was going to fly with the county or not, I told Patrick, I said, here's what we got to do. You got to show good faith. It's a temporary plan. This is not a permanent plan, because the county's going to look at this going, yeah, as soon as I leave here, that hose is going to go out of that tank and on the ground, and you're never going to, because you got to pay to have it pumped out. Mm-hmm. I called a company up there to say, what's the pump out, a clean out and pump out going to be? He said $150. I said, a week? He said, no, a month. I said, really? He said, yeah. I said, well, what about a porta-john? Now, I know it's cold, but black water can go in a porta-john too. You got to have a toilet. Mm-hmm. And he said, it's $150 for a week. He said, we'll pump it and everything. I said, so you'll bring that from Beckley and you'll come weekly and pump that thing out and clean it out. He said, yes. Well, there's your black water problem. Temporary. Now, that's not a permanent plan.
Yeah, that's $600 a month, though, at least, right?
Well, it is, but a septic tank would be $15,000 to $20,000 to deal with that, with a granite, with the the landscape there, and it wasn't going to happen.
Right.
But it was something for a temporary plan, not with the hopes to stay in that house, but to bring another home in somewhere and do whatever they got to do. But it would buy them some time. Now, that doesn't mean you bring the family back, bring Lorraine, and that wasn't part of the equation. It was just so Betty had a place to live. And I think that it would have been manageable financial if people seen the good faith. One of the ideas I had was, and again, it didn't transpire, but with the trust thing, it just seemed like it was never going to happen. I said, why don't we find a reputable church with a board of directors, send the money to that church, don't touch it, send it to the church, let the board of directors, if somebody needs an air conditioner, they need groceries, you do a check request like you would with a company. The board of directors either okays it or they don't okay it, or they go buy it and say, here's your toilet, here's your air conditioner or whatever. And the certain percentage of the proceeds goes to the church for their time. Right. That way, as generations go on, if you build this thing where there's a house and all this stuff, and then there's the great grandkids, that there's still a board of directors. It's not up to one person. And if it's a church that's reputable and going on, and it's a denomination that's well funded, that and again, that was just one idea. I wasn't sold on that, but nobody wanted BJ to have a say in anything, which I'll talk about that in a second. I wasn't for cutting her out altogether. And I know people are going to they'll hear me say this, and it doesn't matter. I've said it before.
It's not your call to cut a family member out of something. It's not your call. You don't know all of the layers that are going on there, or the guilt or having to live with that.
Right. I call it hell on that live stream. First of all,
I think Larry is still madly in love with his wife, the one that passed away. He talks about her and he still cries.
And it's understandable.
And I think that BJ must look like her. That's his that's the mother, right? That's her mother.
That's the only attachment he has to her.
Exactly. So people don't think about shit like that. They just see things in black and white until it's their own family. And that's not the way. It's never like that. It's not black and white. Nothing is as black and white as that.
Just think of their universe was that porch, maybe church, and there was a few things they'd run up into town once in a while, but their whole world was right there.
That's
It's
right.
a small world, and she was in it. And again, I'm not saying she's innocent by any means. If that was my daughter, I know how to handle that, but it's not my daughter.
Right.
And
right.
they love her. She's part of that world. And we all I'm throwing us all in there, that we take things for granted. Our universe is much bigger than a Porsche.
Right. Exactly.
You know, I mean,
exactly.
We have the whole globe I mean, there's people that almost everybody's been somewhere, to the Grand Canyon or Paris or Rome or whatever. And, you know, I back in my touring days, I got to tour I was fortunate. I got to tour all over the world and play music. And so my universe is not in a little porch, but if it was, and it was centered around 10 people, you can't just pull one out of there and have some outsider coming in. And that's the key. Have somebody that's not in that universe come and say, well, she's got to go.
Right.
And if you don't like it, he's got to go. And if you don't like it, you got to go. They're not going to cave into that. They might agree with you at the time, especially if you're dangling a carrot like this. Here's this big old house. You ain't getting the house now.
Well, it's not. That's not
go.
even it. I don't think that they know how. First, like you said, they don't know. They grew up. Their whole world exists in a porch. They don't have confrontational tools even in their toolbox,
right,
to be able to have a decent argument, to feel comfortable standing up for themselves. They just don't have that, because they've dealt with their family most of the time.
It was a part of their life. I mean, that was a day in and day out things.
Exactly. They're not worldly people. They lived on a porch.
And they make that decision. And I tried to tell people, that was another clip I had to take out because I got turned around. It was one content creator said, well, I just got done, Ernie Evans just got done doing that. And I'm disturbed that he got up and said, we all have to forgive BJ. I'm like, I didn't say anything close to that. I was talking about how a family is more inclined to forgive a family member. They just are.
Exactly.
And it doesn't matter what you do to a family member. If anybody's going to forgive that person, it's going to be the family. And in time, you may not. I mean, there's people on death row for murdering somebody, but it's somebody's child, and they still love them. I mean, they just don't throw them away. It's easy for an outsider to throw that person away and do that kind of thing. It's easy for us to do that, but it's not our child.
Well, and also, have you ever noticed that even if you can't stand a family member,
yeah,
if I were to talk about that family member, you would still get offended.
Right.
You would still be protective of that family member that you don't even want anything to do with, but I'll be damned. You're not going to talk about my family member. I can trash them, but you can't trash them. You know what I mean?
Taddy, let me tell you something. One of the biggest lessons I've learned in this whole thing is that if you're a public figure on live stream, TV, movies, whatever, you're like a cartoon. You're no more significant than a cartoon. Some people like you, some people don't like you. Some people love you, some people don't love you, but they're not sensitive to your feelings. You don't get to have feelings. They can say things that they would never say. It's out of character for them to do. And when you put a keyboard in front of them and there's distance between you, they'll say whatever. And I was all offended at first. And then I was like, you know what? This is stupid, because they're just a damn cartoon to me too. You know, it's but except for the people who really had compassion and really cared and listened. And that's how they've treated this BJ thing. And again, I'm not saying she's innocent. I'm not saying anybody's got to forgive her, but I know who will. And I know who did. The whole family. And even Timmy would forgive her. It's just, if something happened to BJ, say she was in a tragic car wreck or whatever, I hope that never happens to anybody, but Timmy would cry for her.
Right. Of course.
He would cry for her. And it's not okay for people to do things, but nobody even knows what really happened. And so, you know, and I was trying to just tell people, because that was one out of the 300 things that I read on Patrick's live stream. That was the most used one. It was like, BJ this and BJ that. So I brought it up. And And I just said, folks, you got to understand, she's not going away. She's going to be in that picture. And
Right.
what somebody needs to do if they're going to help that family is figure out how they coexist, because they're going to.
Right.
And it's not fair that Larry has to sneak
Has
it in.
to pick. Right.
I talked to the family about that when we were talking. They had just left the lawyer's office. Patrick took them to the lawyer, and it was on the phone. And they know me as Patrick's friend. And so we were on a conference call together, and we were addressing that
So
issue.
Patrick took them to a lawyer. He did.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And it was on a Friday. And he had mentioned that he was going to, and he did. And he took him to the lawyer, and the lawyer was pretty much telling him, now they didn't, put him on a retainer or anything, but it was, here's first steps. Here's what's got to happen. So I was talking to the family, and I told Larry, it was Larry, Kenneth, Patrick, and Betty in his truck. And I told Larry specifically, I said, Larry, I said, I told him what had happened with the rumors that are going around about BJ. I said, this kind of falls on you. And I said, because you're really kind of getting blamed. Now Betty's getting blamed for it too, but it's something that's got to be addressed. Now I'm not saying that anybody's for just kicking BJ out and she's not allowed in a house. They said, you got to figure out a way to have that happen, but you're going to have to do something that's convincing. So that's not a strategy, because we were looking at houses.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I haven't told you. We, when I say we, when I was working with them, trying to help them out, I put a team together of real estate agents, people who work with families, people who work in healthcare, and there was a team of 4 people on each team. And they were sending me trailers. The real estate agents were sending me trailers and lots between Odd and the surrounding little towns in Beckley.
Mm-hmm.
Where we found some like really nice trailers that were double wides for like $60,000, and they were pretty nice. And they could have been moved. Some were on a lot already. And so we were just putting things together, just gathering things. The people that we're working with, some people work for Adult Protection Services, not in West Virginia, because I didn't want to. I wasn't going to get to those folks anyway, but I needed to know what they're going to.
You mean you weren't going to have them come over and buy them lunch or anything?
No.
Okay.
What I wanted to do is I wanted to be able to speak their language, because the Whittakers had to go before a judge and say, and be proactive. I mean, my strategy was, let's be proactive. Let's show good faith. Let's take care of the house. Let's get this functioning, but let's have a plan. Here's how we're coming in, because they were very helpful. I mean, Brian had just gone recently there. We knew what we needed to do, because we had, it wasn't because I'm smart. I was smart enough to find the people that knew.
Brian Cody, you mean?
Yeah,
Brian?
yeah.
Okay.
And but I was happy that he did, because he heard the same thing that I heard. And so I knew I got good information.
Right.
But I did go to experts, and they did tell me. And these are licensed people that didn't want to be involved, but everybody wanted to help.
Right.
They just wanted to help. So they said, okay, well, expect this. You're going to need, you can't have 2 people the same sex or opposite sexes living in one room. So Timmy can't sleep with the mom anymore. I mean, we were pretty detailed on everything. And then it came down to the trailer or house or whatever had to have this ADA retrofit. Well, where I come in, 27 years of architectural background. I was an architectural rep for 27 years. I can't draw you a skyscraper and design a skyscraper, but I'm the guy that the architects called and said, I've got a shower going in on the 30th floor of a building, and there's a certain amount of sway, and so there's dead load and live load on floors, that kind of thing. Or I'm going to be right off the lobby, and people have to come in, and there's handicap bathrooms, and the height of telephone booths at the time.
Right.
There was all these things that had to be done. But also, when there was a lawsuit, when something happened where there was supposed to be ADA compliance and there wasn't, and somebody was suing somebody because of that, I was the guy they would call into court to do that kind of stuff. So it was just a coincidence, though. This is my old background. So all the laws, as far as I can see, are still all the same, and all the requirements were the same. So I was like, okay, we're going to need to put a ramp in. The driveway's got to be right next to where the ramp comes out. You need to be able to put a car there, because you can't wheel somebody out and wheel them all the way around the house and going over terrain and dirt and to get them in a car, because it could be raining or freezing rain or whatever. So we looked at those things, grab bars, the width on the hallways and the doorways in trailers. Some can be retrofit, some can't. If it's an older trailer from like the 70s or the 60s, and, they probably got a real narrow hallway going down to 3 bedrooms. So there was some things like that that had to be done, and there needed to be one, more than one bedroom, had to be sanitary. They needed to be able to get to a phone to dial 911 in a wheelchair. Nobody was in a wheelchair yet, but Betty was already walking with a cane, and Lorraine was too. And
right.
I mean, they were. It was coming. Ray had bad knees, and I'll say this: they've held up pretty good to be in their 70s and to eat the
And
things.
to have so many problems. Absolutely.
Oh my God,
I agree.
they made it a long time. So I said, look, I got one. I just have one request. This house has to have a porch on it. It's got to have a big porch. And I said, so if it's a trailer or whatever it is, then we're going to retrofit. This ramp's going to go into a porch, not into a house. And so everybody laughed about, that's a great idea. So that was what we were coming up with. So we were working on this pretty heavy, and it was heartbreaking to walk away. It was so heartbreaking to walk away. And I mean, I still kicking myself in the butt. It's like, man, okay, who's taking care of this? I was happy to see Brian went down there and did that, because when they told him that, it's like, okay, he's getting good information and he can make this happen. And I have fought the urge to call and say, okay, you need to check on this and check. I don't want to do that to anybody. They're going to think I'm getting in the middle of it. But I thought I could help. But I think it's all under control. And I pray that it is.
I do too, man.
We were making progress with that, but then when the investigation happened, it was like, I think when all the threats started happening, people crossed the line and started getting into my business at home, and getting into, we have a shared site that my wife and I have on Facebook. It's our business, because she's the president of the company. I'm the vice president. And she was kind of like, these guys are starting to do this. I'm like, okay, it's time I stop. And man, the next morning they announced this investigation. People kept telling me, they were sending me things going, I mean, the feds are coming. You better run. I'm like, no, they're not. What for? What? What the hell are they coming for? I didn't know. I mean, I knew that it all went to hell in the handbasket. But I'm like, well, what the hell would the feds want to do with that? And even the state, what would they want to do with it? And then when it was announced, it was like, oh, this is about something else. But I had people sending me his criminal record and all this stuff.
Yeah. Well,
Eric
put that out there. Eric put that out there.
Yeah. Well, he said
he tried to create a narrative.
Like
What's that?
Like, he had that stack of papers, goes, and this is it, guys. Yeah. And it was like a telephone book. I'm like, holy crap. And I was like, I better go look at this. So I got online and looked. And when you take the traffic tickets out, and when you take out the things that were either not guilty or dismissed, there's some concerning things in there. I think Patrick's not a good driver, and he's probably not good in a relationship, because that didn't work out good. It seemed like he got in trouble, with that stuff. And I'm not picking on him, but I'm thinking that those are some easy things to fix that could make that stack go way down. Some of those papers probably just had like the footer or something, from one, it just printed over it onto the next page.
Right.
He's holding it like this, trying to make it look as bad as he can. I may have a couple speeding tickets, but that's all it's ever, because people try to dox me. They've tried hard, man. I've caught them online. Has anybody got Ernie Evans' personal address? And, it's like, oh my God. And when that stuff started happening, that's when I was like, okay, it's time. They're going to start bothering my wife. And I mean, I got thick skin. I could take it, but she doesn't deserve that. And,
no, and they're relentless, and they're diabolical, and they're horrible people. I know, man. I just went through that. Yeah.
Oh, I'll bet you're, they're, and I think you're very objective. I mean, I think.
No, it's not on this channel. It's on the other channel.
Well, but I think in this channel that I think you're very, you call it the way you see it, and you're not.
Yeah, again, you're going to have trolls. I mean, my attitude has changed, because I used to be a lot more forgiving. And now I'm like, no, people aren't going to come onto my page or come onto my channel and disrespect me. You could tell me that listen, I don't agree with you, and this is why I don't agree with you. And I'll even invite you on for an argument.
Right.
But if you're gonna sit there and call me names and such, I don't want you on. I'm not
It's a
into
waste of your
that.
time.
I'm not. I don't want to engage. I
Yeah.
sometimes will pin the message up so that I can show everybody what an asshole looks like.
You
You
know,
know?
yeah, I watched you one time. This is what sold me on you was you had given somebody the benefit of the doubt that people wanted to hate really bad. And you were like, I just see she's doing some good.
Right.
And then some
Yeah.
other things happen and you changed your mind. So wait a minute. I didn't know the whole story. Now I do. So, but you were what you knew, you called the way you called it, and from what you've seen,
Exactly.
and you didn't have the information that you had later that the scale tip.
Yep.
That's a sign of honesty, integrity,
Yeah.
and where I've seen so many just jump and rush to judge, and I mean, it was like I had one person was saying that the Whittakers would hate going to a bluegrass festival. It's like, no, they wouldn't, man. They would love it. They would hate staying there for a long time. I think they might get nervous if it's not their vibe and their thing. But I think they would love it. And Timmy sure did. I think Betty would, and Ray would too. I mean, a friend of mine played at that place where Patrick broke his leg. And he was on his way from New York. I know all these bluegrass bands where they're moving and go. We all stay in touch. But he was going to New York and he was going right by Odd. So he stopped in and did a free show just to meet the Whittakers and play for them. I mean, that's why he did it. He didn't take any video of them or anything. I mean,
Wow.
he just wanted to stop. Because he's one of the guys that I talked to that watches Soft White Underbelly that I was telling you about.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the guys that we connected on that. And then when Patrick started doing the videos, I sent it to him and said, "Hey man, check this out." He goes, I seen it. And so he was a fan. And
Wow.
so he went there and they actually did a show there, which I got blamed for, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the $5,000 went. It's like, oh my God. Just somebody doing
You
something.
can guarantee there's going to be a deduction of $5,000, Ernie, that Eric's going to say he gave you.
Oh, well, that'll be fun in court, man. I guess if I ever get subpoenaed or whatever. And I hope that doesn't happen. But, if I have to go with some kind of a witness, I didn't see the back office stuff. The only back office stuff I seen is when Patrick and I talked about a different business. This was really late in the game. We were talking about his page, his personal page. And I was telling him one day, I said, well, look, once you get this Whittaker stuff off, do the updates on the Whittaker page. And I'm the one that told him to do it. I said, just get it off your page. People are, they're fighting. They're just getting you riled up. That's all they're doing. Let's just put the updates over there. And he said, okay. He goes, but I don't have control over that page. He said, Eric does. I said, you don't have the password? He said, no. He says, I can switch to it on my phone. I could switch to it from my account over there. But if I lose it, he has the password. He said, I don't have it because he tried to access it from another computer and he couldn't do it. And I'll go ahead and address that real quick. Then I will talk about what I've seen in the back office. But there's a lot of people saying, oh, Patrick lied. He's one posting on there. He's got control over that page. There's a financial side and you can have more than one admin on a page and everybody has access to the page. But whoever puts the banking information in there is protected. And they have to sign you as a person who has access to the finances. They have very limited, they can see a little bit of the finances on there, but it's very limited. They can't they don't have control over the page.
Okay.
And so that's how that goes. Now, if Patrick went in as an admin and he deleted, if he deleted Eric as an admin, then all the banking information goes away, monetizing's over. So he didn't do that. Eric could go delete Patrick, but he didn't do that either. But Patrick could go on there from his phone and see it. So when I did the live stream, I had access to his password. So I went on and I said, so I went over there and I slid the things over. Now I couldn't see anything over there, but when I was on his page, I said, you should have some stats on there and demographics. You should be able to see
So
how many
did he
male,
have the
female
password
ages.
or he didn't have the password?
He
Because you
didn't have
just
the
said
password.
that you had the password though, but
I
you
had the password to Patrick's phone.
oh, just to his phone, not
Yeah,
to the Facebook thing. Okay.
right to Patrick's personal Facebook page.
Right.
But when you
Okay.
when you're linked up, you could just hit a thing called switch account, and it puts
Okay.
you on that account
Okay.
because he put that password in a long time ago. But as soon as he would sign out of that account, he wouldn't be able to get back in because the old
Okay.
password was still allowing him to switch into that account.
I
So he was
understand.
able to post things on there. So, but he didn't have control over the page or the money, and I don't even think he got to see a balance. But on his personal page, I was able to see, the age demographics, how many are male, female, what state are they from, that kind of thing, because I was trying to talk him into just dump all this stuff, start a new business, and just take this fan base and and work that and start a whole new business. And that's what I was talking to him about. I said, I can see your demographics in there. So, there's going to be certain people are going to buy a certain kind of shoe or eat at a certain kind of restaurant or whatever. But a lot of that matters in what kind of business that you get into. The demographics going to be your target customer. And but
Right.
he could literally take a target customer and then build a business around it. It's usually the other way around. You build a business and then you find the target customer. You try to find out where they're at.
Right.
But he was able to take something that was a wonderful opportunity and make it any kind of business he wanted to be in, and just target that demographic and advertise to them. But it never happened. It was just talk. I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't just talk. It could have happened, but after the investigation, though, it was just like, there's just no use in doing all the hate that was going on. I could see him opening up a shoe store or something, a package delivery service or whatever, and
Right.
here's all these haters coming in here, a bunch of
Right.
mad faces every day. It wasn't going to work.
I'm hoping and praying that history is going to look kindly on him, that like when this all settles down, that
Um,
he's going to be the guy that I I think he is. Like I think he's made mistakes, but I honestly think that he was trying to do something here and he got taken advantage of.
I had a conversation with him early on, and it was, you look at Patrick, and again, I didn't know anything about his background, but this thing had so much potential to do such incredible things, and it really did. And I told him, I said, man, you've got the opportunity to do the best thing you've ever done in your life and right every wrong in your life that you've ever done. And I didn't know anything about a criminal record. It just was like, and he was excited about it because he really felt like he was doing something good, and he does love that family. He does.
Yeah.
He was crushed when they turned on him. He was very crushed, and he really cared for Timmy. And Patrick lost his dad, and I think there was a father and son relationship that may or may not have happened. I don't know, but I think that
Right.
that Timmy looked at him like a father. You watch some videos, Timmy's
Yeah.
sitting next to him, hugging him, and like
Yeah.
a child would with their father. I mean, that's how he was. It wasn't just going and doing stuff and buying them things. When they were home, they were hanging out. I
Yeah.
mean, it was like Opie and Andy, man. I mean, they just were.
Yeah, I saw that you wrote that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how it looked. I mean, it really did. And
Yeah.
but, well, I hope they can get it all resolved.
Me too. Me too.
I hope the finances that they can get that all worked out. I think that situation could probably get worse, sadly.
Yeah.
I hope that the community can heal from it. I hope all the people that are angry right now, I hope everybody that's donated gets the answers that they're looking for and they're happy or they're satisfied with that. I've talked to several.
Yeah.
And they were very, very upset. And it was like, well, we don't have the answer yet. I don't know what to tell you, but my donation didn't get to happen, and I'm as depressed about that as anybody is because I really was looking forward to that. But I think that I hope that they can get a satisfactory answer, that they don't give up on helping people because of that or be skeptical of everybody, and that all this hate and tamps down, because we don't need that right now in this world. And I hope people will start. They'll learn something about getting to know people a little bit better, and before they're judgmental. I think everybody loves the Whittakers. That's why all this fighting's going on, to begin with, and they love those videos because I did, and those videos brought us all together.
Exactly.
That's how we're all connected right now.
That's
Whether we
right.
like this one or hate this one, those videos brought us together from Mark all the way down to the last one made. That
Right.
brought us together. That transformation in Timmy that we've seen was because of those videos. There was no other exposure. I don't live in Odd, and I didn't see that happening. And but that we're all linked together in that, and we shouldn't be fighting about that kind of stuff. And the rumors, there's people mad about stuff that never happened. It's like
I know.
they're losing sleep, man. They're miserable. It's like that shit didn't even happen, man. What? And you're losing sleep over that, and that didn't even happen. But I appreciate the time that you take to try to get the truth out there too, and the research that you guys do. I've watched that. What's her name? Kathy. That's got
Deep Soul Diver channel. Curious.
She's doing all that stuff manually too. So she's like, well, my cat got on here and scratched it and ripped it up.
I saw that. Yeah.
I'm watching this calendar. All of a sudden, Ernie enters. I'm like, oh God, here it
comes. I saw it. I saw that too.
Like, and then she goes, and Ernie exits. I'm like,
yeah.
So she's okay, but that isn't how it always goes. But and I appreciate you having me on too.
Hey, listen, absolutely. Is there anything else that you wanted to add? Anything that you wanted to throw out there?
If something comes up that somebody does want to know, I'll be available.
Okay.
I feel like one of the lucky ones that got to see all the good stuff that happened.
Right.
And I'll commend Eric too for what I knew, from what I seen. Now I'm hearing a lot of other stuff, and I'm going to wait till this investigation's over and things come out.
Right.
There's some things I didn't like that happened, but there was some great things that came out of this thing, and I wish it could go back to that. Before I knew anything, and the videos were, and I personally hope that videos can continue. I mean, I think that in good taste, there's a lot of people saying, "No, I'll leave the family alone." But they were having fun.
Right.
I don't know how happy they'll be if you could reunite them and they're sitting on the porch by themselves again.
Right.
I think that there was some good parts for that for them too. The money wasn't the thing that made them happy. It was music, doing fun things, and I hope that will continue somehow.
Absolutely.
We'll see, but or some other family could be blessed with that somehow, and that people can. The last thing I want to tell you that I told Patrick was, I was complimenting him and commending him. I said, do you realize, because he was telling me that people are mad at me about this. I said, man, but do you realize that the young people that are watching this now, that see that these people are human beings, they have feelings, they watch them smile, they watch them laugh, and they know they didn't see that before, and they're seeing this thing happen. And how cool would it be that if all these young people wanted to become videographers and go out and start these businesses to help people, needy people who are mentally challenged, and do fun things with them, and make a whole bunch of money doing it. How cool,
or to even normalize things that we wouldn't often see. You know what I mean?
Make them rock stars. I mean, making them rock stars and doing things they would never see, things we would never see, things they would never do. Have people saying, "I love you" online.
Right.
And how cool would that be if this next generation, if we could influence them to do that? It's
I agree.
Obviously, they're going to be a lot better at it.
You got to get on your knees every day and pray for that, and never get off your knees with the way the world's turning. But I'm there with you.
Well, this has to be a blueprint and a roadmap of what not to do, maybe, and
that's true.
So somebody can do it the next time, but keep blessing those families, man, and keep doing fun things with them, and find a way to do it. I mean, it needs to happen. But anyway, I know I've taken a bunch of your time up. And again,
man, I enjoyed talking to you. I really did. I thank you so much.
Yeah.
I really do. And I appreciate you. I honestly appreciate you. All right, guys, that's it. That's Ernie's take. And I appreciated the time he gave me. I hope it answers a lot of questions. I hope you got to know Ernie a little bit better. I certainly am now a fan of Ernie Evans. And I hope you guys can appreciate who he is as well. So this is their story. This is Ernie's story. You got your own story, guys. I hope it's great. I'll speak to you real soon. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Ernie, thank you so much. I appreciate you. All right. Be well, guys. Bing boing bing. Everybody has a story to tell with Toddy One Skip.